Welcome back to XRP Unfiltered. Listen closely, because if you've ever glanced at your XRP holdings and thought, I'm too late, I don't hold enough, I'm just a small investor, it's time to stop thinking that way right now. The question I get more than any other on this channel isn't about price targets, ETFs, or court battles. It's this: how many people actually own 10,000 XRP? That question matters deeply, because most XRP holders are fundamentally mistaken about their position in this ecosystem. Not just a little off, but wildly wrong. Here's a harsh truth. Right from the start, the XRP community is psychologically skewed. Everyone is comparing themselves to mythical whales, viral screenshots, and exaggerated Twitter stories instead of looking at real data. Daily, people message me saying things like, I only have 1,500 XRP, or I'm embarrassed I don't even have 2,000, as if they've already lost the race. That mindset is exactly how people fail in markets before the price even moves. They quit too soon. They sell early, or worse, leave their XRP on exchanges and never reclaim it. So before we even talk about price, adoption, or the future, we need to anchor this discussion in reality, numbers, distribution, and positioning. Because crypto wealth has never been about how loud you shout or how big your social media holdings appear. It's about where you actually sit statistically when the market matures, and nearly nobody takes the time to truly understand this. Currently, there are about 7.3 million XRP wallets worldwide. That number sounds huge, and that's where the illusion begins, because wallets don't equal people. Serious XRP holders often maintain multiple wallets. Some have 10, some 20. Exchanges hold hundreds of thousands of wallets for users, bots, custodians, and internal routing addresses. All of that inflates the headline number. The actual number of human beings holding XRP is far smaller than most realize. This is where it gets interesting in a positive way, because once you remove the noise, you see that the XRP ecosystem is far more exclusive than it appears. The vast majority of wallets contain tiny amounts, dust, experiment balances, or forgotten tokens. Meanwhile, a surprisingly small percentage hold what most would consider life-changing amounts. And even those aren't as large as your imagination might suggest. That's why the XRP rich list is important, not to boost egos but to reveal positioning. It shows where scarcity already exists before institutional demand, ETFs, payment rails, and liquidity corridors fully activate. This December update is one of the most crucial snapshots we've seen so far. Many XRP holders think they're late because they focus on price instead of distribution. They see XRP trading for a few dollars and assume the opportunity has passed. That's lazy thinking. The market doesn't reward price watchers. It rewards those who understand supply behavior and patience. Once you see where most holders actually stand, your entire view of your own position shifts. By the end of this breakdown, you'll understand three things clearly. First, the idea of a small XRP holder is mostly a myth. Second, the real edge isn't about buying more at any cost but holding strategically. Third, the next 5 years will punish impatience far more than they will reward aggression. This isn't hype, it's math, human psychology, and history quietly repeating itself while most overlook it. So take a deep breath, forget what Twitter told you, and let's explore where XRP holders truly stand right now, starting with the numbers that put you in the top tier sooner than you think. According to the December update, out of around 7.3 million XRP wallets, only about 737,000 hold 2,300 XRP or more. Read that again carefully. That single fact changes everything, because holding just over 2,300 XRP places you in the top 10% of all XRP wallets worldwide. Not someday, not after mass adoption, but right now. This is where people often freeze, emotionally conditioned to think the top 10% means millions of dollars or insider status. In XRP's case, it means consistency, patience, and simply not quitting early. No secret handshake needed. Let's take this further, because here is where perception versus reality becomes stark. I frequently get messages from people upset they only hold 2,000 XRP, some even embarrassed to say it. Statistically, that mindset is wildly off. Holding around 2,000 XRP puts you ahead of over 6.5 million wallets. That's not motivational fluff, that's pure math. Remember, wallets do not equal individuals. Many wallets belong to exchanges, custodians, bots, or single users splitting funds across many addresses. I personally hold XRP in over 20 wallets for security and operational reasons. One person can easily inflate the data by a factor of 10 or more. So when you see 737,000 wallets, you're not looking at 737,000 individuals, but a smaller group of humans. The actual number holding meaningful XRP is dramatically lower than assumed, and that's before institutional custody fully enters. Now, stepping into the top 5%, scarcity becomes undeniable. To be in that group, you need about 8,000 XRP. That's it. 95% of wallets don't come close. This isn't about flexing, it's about grasping how thin ownership really is before banks, ETFs, and payment rails compete for your supply. People talk about supply shocks as abstract future events, but they begin quietly when ownership concentrates and no one notices. This is how Bitcoin looked in the early 2010s, how Ethereum appeared pre-DeFi, and how XRP looks right now, misunderstood, underestimated, and psychologically mispriced. The key takeaway is, you don't need tens of thousands of XRP to be early. You need clarity, custody, and the discipline to avoid emotional self-sabotage. The market rewards boring consistency, not panic buying or early selling. We're not even at the most revealing part. When we talk about 10,000 XRP and the tiny number of actual holders, the illusion of I'm late collapses. Crossing that line makes many uncomfortable because the numbers stop being motivational and start being stark. Holding 10,000 XRP puts you in an extremely small group worldwide. Based on December data, about 4% of XRP wallets hold 10,000 or more. That sounds like 295,000 wallets, but once you remove exchanges, custodians, OTC desks, bots, and user-splitting addresses, the real number shrinks fast. Realistically, it's closer to 100,000 people globally holding 10,000 XRP or more. Think about that. 100,000 people on a planet of 8 billion. That's not a city or a town, it's a football stadium, not even a big one. If every holder of 10,000 XRP gathered in one place, there'd be empty seats. Ownership is that thin, and it gets even more extreme the higher you go. For the top 1%, you need about 49,000 XRP. But wallets at that level and above are overwhelmingly not individuals. They're infrastructure, exchanges, custody platforms, or institutional liquidity pools. So the number of humans with truly large XRP holdings is far smaller than it looks. Most retail investors never internalize this. They see wallet counts and assume millions are ahead. In reality, much XRP supply is locked operationally or split across many addresses owned by the same entities. The crowd is smaller than it seems. The most important truth is this. You don't need 10,000 XRP to be early. You don't need 5,000 or even 2,000. What matters is longevity. History doesn't reward the biggest bags but those who stay in the game without fatal errors. The biggest mistakes have never been holding too little. It's custody failures and emotional exits. The guy with 300 Bitcoin in 2011 felt small. The person with 10 Ethereum at $5 felt irrelevant. Early XRP holders felt early until they weren't. Being early means nothing if you don't survive the cycle. That's why self-custody is more important than wallet size. Exchanges come and go, regulations change, platforms fail. Every cycle wipes out those who valued convenience over control, transferring wealth to those who held assets securely and did nothing drastic. Another brutal fact, most will sell too soon, not because they're wrong about XRP, but because they're impatient. They'll sell at $5 or $10 or whatever number finally feels safe, then stay out. They missed the real move. 5 years from now, XRP won't be sitting on exchanges as it does today. Liquidity will tighten. Custody will matter more. Those who kept part of their holdings untouched will be the true winners of long-term adoption. This isn't hype, it's positioning. Don't compare yourself to whales. Compare yourself to your future self and ask if you're building a position that lasts beyond pump cycles. Survival is the real edge in crypto. Zooming out further, many misunderstand the game with XRP. People obsess over wallet thresholds. 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 XRP, but the real line divides those who understand cycles and those who emotionally react. Every major asset that changed lives followed this psychology. Early holders felt late, mid-cycle holders felt smart, late-cycle buyers felt genius briefly, then the cycle reset. Volatility returned, narratives flipped. Only the steadfast remained. XRP will follow the same pattern. It doesn't care how confident you feel now. It rewards consistency over time. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most holders won't fail because of small bags. They'll fail because they held at the wrong time and sold at the wrong time. They sell during strength out of fear disguised as responsibility and hesitate during weakness out of doubt disguised as caution. That's lethal. Rich lists are psychologically dangerous if misunderstood. They make people chase numbers, not strategies. Someone with 500 XRP held securely, never panic selling or overtrading, and never storing on exchanges will outperform someone with 10,000 XRP who sells at the first uncomfortable move. Size without discipline is meaningless. This is where self-custody shifts from suggestion to necessity. Each cycle, exchanges market themselves as safe, regulated, insured, and too big to fail. Each cycle, something breaks. MTOX, FTX, Celsius, BlockFi. Names change, lessons don't. If your XRP isn't in your custody, it's not really yours. It's a claim. Claims fail under stress. Long-term adoption isn't vertical price spikes every month. It looks boring, slow, like losing interest just before things matter. That's how the internet grew, how mobile phones spread, how infrastructure tech evolves. XRP sits there, not meme speculation, but rails, liquidity, settlement, custody, and compliance. When this layer becomes essential, ownership concentration matters more than hype. Scarcity doesn't need overnight disappearance of supply. It needs illiquidity at the margins. When fewer people sell, modest demand causes outsized price moves. Markets move quietly, through tightening, not viral excitement. So instead of asking, do I have enough XRP? Ask, can I hold what I have through boredom, volatility, and temptation? Can I watch price move without panic? Can I avoid selling everything at the first life-changing number? Can I secure my assets while others chase convenience? The real edge isn't being early. It's still being there when others aren't. That's the difference between owning XRP and actually profiting. To close, hype fades fast, but structure endures. 5 years from now, no one will care how many XRP you almost had, or what your target was, or what scared you into selling. The only thing that matters is whether you stayed positioned as infrastructure locked in quietly around you. That's what early really means, not buying first but holding longest. It means surviving the boring parts, where price is flat and people say XRP is dead, outdated, or priced in. Those aren't danger zones, they're filters designed to remove impatient capital. Here's the truth many avoid. If XRP hits meaningful sustained prices, most current holders will be gone, not because they were wrong, but because they couldn't sit still. They'll have sold pieces, chased other assets, or parked funds elsewhere. That's why I stress self-custody and partial selling discipline. The biggest mistake isn't selling some XRP, it's selling all of it. History is ruthless here. Winners didn't time tops perfectly, they held core positions no matter what. Logically, if XRP becomes critical infrastructure for payments, liquidity, settlement, and tokenization, ownership will consolidate in institutions, custodians, ETFs, and banks. Retail supply won't vanish overnight, it will become illiquid. Illiquid assets reprice violently when demand appears. So whether you hold 500, 2,000, or 10,000 XRP, the real edge is time, discipline, and custody. These outperform almost any strategy. You don't need the biggest bag or perfect timing or to impress anyone online. You need to stay in the game long enough for structure to matter. That's the secret most miss. If you understand that, you're already ahead of more people than any rich list shows. And finally, none of this is financial advice. I'm sharing my perspective on XRP. Crypto markets are volatile and risky. Everyone's situation is different. Always do your own research and make decisions based on your circumstances, not emotion, headlines, or others' opinions.